The American dream. It's a phrase that's been repeated for generations, a promise that if you work hard, play by the rules, and never give up, you can achieve anything. For some, it's a white picket fence and a steady job. For others, it's the freedom to create, to build, to belong. But for Black youth in America today, the question is more complicated than ever. Is the American dream still alive, or has it become a myth? A story told to keep hope alive in the face of impossible odds? To answer that question, you have to start with the stories, the real stories, not the ones in textbooks or campaign speeches. You have to listen to the voices of young people growing up in neighborhoods where opportunity is a rumor, not a reality. You have to see the determination in the eyes of students who wake up before dawn to catch 2 buses to a school that's underfunded and overcrowded. You have to feel the weight of expectations, the pressure to succeed, the fear of failure, and the ever-present knowledge that one mistake can change everything. For many Black youth, the American dream is both a beacon and a burden. It's something to strive for, but also something that feels just out of reach. The barriers are real: systemic racism, under-resourced schools, over-policed neighborhoods, and a job market that too often closes doors before they even open. The dream is there, but so are the obstacles, and the path is anything but straight. But here's the thing: Black youth have always been dreamers. They've always found ways to carve out spaces of possibility, even when the world told them no. From the Harlem Renaissance to the Black Lives Matter movement, young Black people have been at the forefront of change, pushing the country to live up to its promises. They've started businesses, written books, created art, and led protests. They've built communities, mentored each other, and refused to give up, even when the odds were stacked against them. Still, the question lingers. Is the American dream still alive for Black youth, or is it just a story we tell ourselves to keep going? To answer that question, you have to look at the numbers, and the numbers tell a complicated story. On one hand, more Black students are graduating from high school and going to college than ever before. Black entrepreneurship is on the rise, and Black voices are more visible in media, politics, and culture than at any point in history. There are more Black doctors, lawyers, engineers, and CEOs than ever before. But on the other hand, the wealth gap between Black and white families is as wide as it was 50 years ago. Black youth are more likely to be unemployed, underemployed, or working jobs that don't pay a living wage. They're more likely to be saddled with student debt, to face discrimination in hiring, and to struggle to find affordable housing. The dream is alive, but it's not equally accessible, and for many, it feels like the finish line keeps moving further away. The truth is, the American dream has always been complicated for Black people. From the very beginning, the promise of freedom and opportunity was denied to those whose skin was the wrong color. Slavery, segregation, redlining, and mass incarceration are not just chapters in a history book. They're living realities that shape the present. The dream has always been something to fight for, not something that's handed out freely. But that fight has also created something powerful: resilience. Black youth have learned to navigate systems that weren't built for them, to find mentors and allies, to build networks of support. They've learned to dream differently, to define success on their own terms, to find joy and meaning in community, creativity, and resistance. For some, the American dream is not about individual achievement, but about collective liberation. It's not about fitting in, but about standing out, about making space for others, about changing the rules of the game. There's another side to the story, too. For every barrier, there's a breakthrough. For every closed door, there's someone who finds a way in or builds a new door altogether. Black youth are starting businesses at higher rates than their peers, using technology to create new opportunities and leveraging social media to build brands, movements, and communities. They're redefining what it means to be successful, and in the process, they're reshaping the American dream itself. But the challenges are real, and they're not going away anytime soon. The COVID-19 pandemic hit Black communities especially hard, exposing and deepening existing inequalities. Schools closed, jobs disappeared, and families struggled to make ends meet. The mental health toll has been enormous, with rates of anxiety, depression, and trauma on the rise. For many Black youth, the dream feels more fragile than ever. And yet, there is hope. There are stories of young people who refuse to give up, who find ways to thrive in the face of adversity. There are organizations, mentors, and movements working to level the playing field, to provide resources, to open doors. There are teachers who go the extra mile, parents who sacrifice everything, and communities that rally around their young people. The dream is alive, but it's a collective effort. It takes a village and some. So, is the American dream still alive for Black youth? The answer is complicated. It's alive, but it's under threat. It's possible, but it's not promised. It's something to fight for, to protect, to redefine. And most of all, it's something that belongs to everyone, not just those who were born into privilege, but to all who dare to dream, to work, to hope, and to build. To really understand whether the American dream is still alive for Black youth, you have to listen to their voices, not just the statistics. You have to hear the stories of young people who are navigating a world that is both full of possibility and fraught with obstacles. You have to see the ways they are redefining what it means to succeed, to belong, and to hope. Because for Black youth, the American dream is not just about material success. It's about dignity, safety, and the freedom to imagine a future that is truly their own. Take the story of a high school senior in Detroit who dreams of becoming an engineer. She wakes up before sunrise to catch 2 buses across town, determined to get to a magnet school with a strong STEM program. Her family can't afford private tutors or test prep classes, but she spends hours in the library, teaching herself calculus from YouTube videos. She knows the odds are against her. Her school's graduation rate is low, and few students go on to 4-year colleges, but she refuses to let that define her. She applies for scholarships, joins after-school clubs, and finds mentors who believe in her. For her, the American dream is not just about getting into college. It's about proving to herself and her community that anything is possible. Or consider the young man in Atlanta who wants to start his own business. He sees the challenges his parents faced: layoffs, low wages, and the constant struggle to make ends meet. He's determined to do things differently. He spends his weekends learning about entrepreneurship, building a website, and networking with other young business owners online. He faces setbacks. Banks are reluctant to lend to him, and investors are hard to find. But he keeps going, fueled by the belief that he can create something new, not just for himself, but for his family and his neighborhood. For him, the American dream is about ownership, about building wealth, and about giving back. These stories are not unique. Across the country, Black youth are dreaming big, working hard, and refusing to be defined by the limitations others try to place on them. They are artists, athletes, activists, and entrepreneurs. They're first-generation college students, community organizers, and tech innovators. They're building networks of support, finding mentors, and lifting each other up. They're using social media to tell their stories, to organize, and to demand change. They are not waiting for permission, they are creating their own opportunities. But for every story of success, there are stories of struggle. There are young people who are pushed out of school by zero-tolerance policies, who are funneled into the criminal justice system for minor infractions, who are told that college isn't for them. There are those who face discrimination in hiring, who are paid less for the same work, or are denied promotions or internships because of their name, their hair, or the neighborhood they come from. There are those who struggle with mental health, who face trauma and loss, and who don't have access to the resources they need to heal. The barriers are real, and they are often invisible to those who don't experience them. It's easy to talk about the American dream as if it's just a matter of hard work and determination. But for Black youth, the dream is shaped by forces beyond their control, by the legacy of racism, by the policies that shape their schools and neighborhoods, by the biases that still exist in every corner of society. The dream is alive, but it's not a level playing field. And yet there is a fierce determination to keep going. Black youth are not just surviving, they are thriving, innovating, and leading. They are challenging the old narratives, demanding to be seen and heard, and refusing to settle for less. They are building new definitions of success, ones that include not just personal achievement, but community, justice, and joy. They are asking hard questions. What does it mean to succeed in a world that wasn't built for you? How do you hold on to hope when the odds are against you? What does it look like to dream together, to lift each other up, to build something that lasts? The answers are not simple, but they are powerful. For many Black youth, the American dream is not about assimilation, it's about transformation. It's about taking the best of what this country has to offer, freedom, opportunity, creativity, and making it their own. It's about honoring the struggles of those who came before, while forging new paths for those who will come next. It's about refusing to be defined by limitations, and instead defining themselves by their dreams, their values, and their vision for the future. There are organizations and movements working to make the dream more accessible, from college prep programs to entrepreneurship incubators, from mental health initiatives to arts collectives. There are people and institutions dedicated to leveling the playing field. There are teachers who go above and beyond, mentors who open doors, and communities that rally around their young people. There are policies being proposed and passed that aim to close the wealth gap, reform the criminal justice system, and invest in education and healthcare. But the work is far from done. The American dream is still alive for Black youth, but it is fragile. It requires constant vigilance, advocacy, and support. It requires a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, to challenge the status quo, and to imagine new possibilities. It requires all of us, parents, teachers, policymakers, and neighbors, to invest in the next generation, to believe in their potential, and to fight for a future where the dream is truly within reach for everyone.
The American dream for Black youth is not just a question of economics or education, it's a question of belonging. It's about whether you feel seen, valued, and safe in your own country. For many young Black Americans, the dream is shadowed by the reality of racial profiling, police violence, and the constant need to prove their worth. It's about walking into a store and being followed, about being pulled over for driving while Black, about seeing stories on the news that remind you again and again that your life is not always protected or respected. This sense of vulnerability shapes how Black youth move through the world. It influences the choices they make, the risks they take, and the dreams they dare to dream. Some learn to code switch, to change how they speak or dress depending on where they are. Some become experts at reading a room, at sensing when they are welcome and when they are not. Some carry the weight of their family's hopes and fears, knowing that every success is a victory not just for themselves, but for everyone who came before them. Yet, in the face of these challenges, there is also a deep sense of pride. Black youth are proud of their heritage, their culture, and their resilience. They celebrate their history, their music, their art, and their traditions. They find strength in community, in faith, and in the knowledge that they are part of something bigger than themselves. This pride is a form of resistance, a way of saying, we belong here, we matter. Our dreams are just as valid as anyone else's. The question of whether the American dream is still alive for Black youth is also a question of representation. Who gets to tell the story of America? Who gets to be the hero, the innovator, the leader? For too long, the stories of Black achievement have been left out of the mainstream narrative. But that is changing. Black youth are seeing more people who look like them in positions of power, in politics, in business, in the arts, in sports. They are seeing their stories reflected in books, movies, and music. They are learning that their dreams are possible because they see others who have made them real. But representation is not enough. It's not enough to see a few Black faces in high places if the systems that shape everyday life remain unchanged. True progress means changing the rules, not just the players. It means reforming schools so that every child has access to a quality education regardless of their zip code. It means creating pathways to good jobs, affordable housing, and health care. It means dismantling the barriers that keep Black youth from reaching their full potential. This is where policy comes in. The American dream is not just a personal journey, it's a collective project. It depends on the choices we make as a society, how we fund our schools, how we police our neighborhoods, how we invest in our communities. It depends on whether we are willing to confront the legacy of racism and to build systems that are fair and just for everyone. For Black youth, the dream is alive when the policies match the promises, when opportunity is not just a word, but a reality. There are signs of hope. In recent years, there has been a renewed focus on equity and justice. Cities and states are investing in early childhood education, in job training, in mental health services. There are efforts to reform the criminal justice system, to close the wealth gap, to support Black-owned businesses. There are movements to make college more affordable, to expand access to health care, to protect voting rights. These changes don't happen overnight, but they are steps in the right direction. At the same time, there is a growing recognition that the American dream must be reimagined for a new generation. The old model, work hard, buy a house, climb the corporate ladder, doesn't fit everyone's reality or aspirations. Black youth are redefining success on their own terms. For some, it's about entrepreneurship, about building something from the ground up. For others, it's about activism, about making a difference in their community. For many, it's about balance, finding joy, purpose, and connection in a world that often feels uncertain. Social media has given Black youth new tools to tell their stories, to organize, and to build networks of support. They are using platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter to share their experiences, to challenge stereotypes, and to demand change. They are creating art, music, and content that reflects their reality and their dreams. They are building communities online and offline, finding mentors and lifting each other up. But the digital world also brings new challenges. Cyberbullying, misinformation, and the pressure to perform can take a toll on mental health. The constant comparison to others, the fear of missing out, and the need to curate a perfect image can be exhausting. For Black youth who already face unique pressures, these challenges can be especially intense. That's why it's so important to create spaces, both online and offline, where young people can be themselves, find support, and know that they are not alone.
The American dream, as it exists for Black youth today, is a story of contrasts. It's a story of hope and frustration, of progress and setbacks, of dreams that are both realized and deferred. For every young person who breaks through a barrier, there are others who find the doors still closed. For every headline about Black excellence, there are quiet stories of struggle that never make the news. This contrast is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of the complexity of the world we live in, and of the resilience required to keep dreaming in the face of adversity. One of the most powerful forces shaping the future of the American dream for Black youth is education. Education has always been seen as the great equalizer, the key to opportunity. But the reality is more complicated. Schools in Black communities are often underfunded, overcrowded, and lacking in resources. Teachers are overworked, and students face challenges that go beyond the classroom: poverty, trauma, and the daily stress of navigating a world that doesn't always see their potential. Yet despite these obstacles, Black youth continue to excel. They win scholarships, earn degrees, and become leaders in their fields. They do this not because the system is fair, but because they refuse to let it define them. Mentorship is another crucial piece of the puzzle. For many Black youth, having someone who believes in them, a teacher, a coach, a community leader, can make all the difference. Mentors provide guidance, encouragement, and a sense of possibility. They help young people navigate the challenges of school, work, and life. They open doors, make introductions, and offer advice that can change the course of a life. The importance of mentorship cannot be overstated. It's one of the ways the American dream is kept alive, one relationship at a time. But mentorship alone is not enough. Black youth need access to real opportunities: internships, apprenticeships, jobs that pay a living wage. They need pathways to careers in fields where they have been historically underrepresented: STEM, finance, law, and the arts. They need support for entrepreneurship, for creative pursuits, for building wealth and stability. The American dream is not just about getting a job, it's about having the freedom to choose your path, to take risks, and to build a life that reflects your values and your vision. Family and community play a central role as well. For many Black youth, the dream is not just about individual success, it's about lifting up those around them. It's about giving back, about creating opportunities for others, about building something that lasts. This sense of responsibility can be both a source of strength and a source of pressure. It can inspire young people to reach higher, but it can also weigh heavily, especially when resources are scarce and the needs are great. The role of faith and spirituality is also significant. For generations, Black churches, mosques, and other faith communities have been sources of support, resilience, and hope. They provide a sense of belonging, a place to celebrate victories and mourn losses, a foundation for activism and service. For many Black youth, faith is a source of strength in the face of adversity, a reminder that they are part of a larger story and that their dreams matter. At the same time, Black youth are pushing back against the limitations of the past. They are questioning old assumptions, challenging stereotypes, and demanding to be seen on their own terms. They are creating new forms of expression through art, music, fashion, and activism. They are building movements for justice, for climate action, for mental health, for LGBTQ+ rights. They are refusing to be boxed in by anyone else's definition of success. The American dream is also being shaped by the realities of the economy. The job market is changing, with automation, gig work, and remote jobs creating both new opportunities and new uncertainties. Black youth are adapting, learning new skills, and finding ways to thrive in a rapidly changing world. They are starting businesses, freelancing, and using technology to create their own paths. But they're also facing the challenges of student debt, rising housing costs, and a social safety net that is often full of holes. Despite all these challenges, there is a sense of possibility. Black youth are not waiting for the world to change, they are changing it themselves. They are organizing, voting, running for office, and making their voices heard. They are building networks of support, both online and offline. They are finding joy in the midst of struggle and hope in the face of uncertainty. The American dream is still alive for Black youth, but it is a dream that must be fought for, protected, and reimagined. It is a dream that belongs to everyone, but it is not guaranteed to anyone. It is a dream that is as much about community as it is about the individual, as much about justice as it is about opportunity. And it is a dream that, in the hands of Black youth, is being transformed into something new, something bold, inclusive, and full of hope.
The American dream for Black youth is also shaped by the stories they inherit and the ones they create. Family history is a powerful force, sometimes a source of pride, sometimes a reminder of struggle, but always a foundation for what comes next. Many Black youth grow up hearing about the sacrifices their parents and grandparents made, the long hours, the second jobs, the battles fought in courtrooms and classrooms, the quiet acts of resistance that made a difference, even if only in small ways. These stories are not just about survival, they are about hope, about the belief that things can get better, that each generation can go further than the last. But the weight of history can also be heavy. For some, the pressure to succeed is immense. There's a sense that you're not just living for yourself, but for everyone who came before you and everyone who will come after you. This can be motivating, but it can also be overwhelming. The fear of letting people down, of not living up to expectations, can be paralyzing. Mental health is a real concern, and the stigma around asking for help is still strong in many communities. Black youth are learning to navigate these pressures, to find balance, and to seek support when they need it. They are learning that it's okay to rest, to set boundaries, and to define success in their own way. The role of storytelling is crucial. Black youth are using their voices to share their experiences, to challenge stereotypes, and to inspire others. They are writing books, making films, starting podcasts, and using social media to reach audiences around the world. They're telling stories that are honest, complex, and full of nuance. Stories that show the full range of Black life, from joy to pain, from triumph to struggle. These stories matter. They shape how Black youth see themselves and how the world sees them. Representation in media is more important than ever. When Black youth see themselves reflected in movies, TV shows, books, and news stories, it sends a powerful message. You belong. Your story matters. Your dreams are possible. But representation is not just about numbers. It's about authenticity. It's about telling stories that are real, that don't shy away from the hard truths, but also celebrate the beauty, the creativity, and the resilience of Black communities. The power of art and culture cannot be overstated. Music, dance, fashion, and visual art are all ways that Black youth express themselves, connect with their heritage, and imagine new futures. Hip-hop, for example, started as a way for young people in the Bronx to tell their stories, to resist oppression, and to create something out of nothing. Today, it's a global phenomenon, but its roots are still in the dreams and struggles of Black youth. Art is a way to process pain, to celebrate victories, and to build community. Activism is another key part of the story. Black youth have always been at the forefront of social change, from the sit-ins of the civil rights era to the protests of today. They're organizing for justice, for climate action, for gun reform, for LGBTQ+ rights, and for mental health awareness. They're using their voices to demand change, to hold leaders accountable, and to build movements that are inclusive and intersectional. Activism is not just about protest. It's about building something new, about imagining a world where everyone can thrive. Technology is both a tool and a challenge. On one hand, it gives Black youth access to information, to networks, and to opportunities that previous generations could only dream of. On the other hand, it brings new risks: cyberbullying, surveillance, and the spread of misinformation. Navigating the digital world requires new skills, new forms of literacy, and new ways of protecting yourself and your community. Black youth are leading the way, creating online spaces that are safe, supportive, and empowering. The American dream for Black youth is also about mobility, the ability to move, to travel, to explore new places and new ideas. For some Black youth, this means going away to college, studying abroad, or moving to a new city for a job. For others, it means building a life in the community where they grew up, investing in local businesses, and giving back to the people who raised them. Mobility is not just about geography. It's about the freedom to choose your own path, to take risks, and to dream big. But mobility is not equally available to everyone. Barriers like student debt, housing discrimination, and lack of access to transportation can limit the options for Black youth. The dream is alive, but it's not always within reach. That's why it's so important to fight for policies that level the playing field, that invest in public transportation, that make college affordable, and that protect against discrimination in housing and employment. The American dream for Black youth is a work in progress. It's a story that is still being written every day, in classrooms, in homes, in neighborhoods, and online. It's a story of resilience, of creativity, of hope, and the determination to build a better future, not just for themselves, but for everyone.
The American dream for Black youth is also about the power of community. In a world that often emphasizes individual achievement, Black youth are reminded again and again that no one makes it alone. Success is rarely a solo journey. It's the result of support, encouragement, and sometimes a collective push from family, friends, mentors, and neighbors. Community is where dreams are nurtured, where setbacks are softened, and where victories are celebrated. It's where young people learn the values of cooperation, generosity, and responsibility to others. This sense of community is especially important in the face of adversity. When systems fail, when schools are underfunded, when jobs are scarce, when discrimination rears its head, it's often the community that steps in to fill the gaps. Churches organize tutoring programs, local businesses sponsor scholarships, neighbors share resources and advice. These acts of solidarity are not just about survival. They're about building a foundation for future generations. They show Black youth that even when the odds are against them, they are never truly alone. But community is not just about support. It's also about accountability. In strong communities, young people are held to high standards. They're expected to give back, to look out for others, to use their talents for the greater good. This sense of responsibility can be a powerful motivator. It can inspire Black youth to aim higher, to persevere through challenges, and to see their own success as part of a larger story. Role models play a crucial role in this process. When Black youth see people who look like them achieving great things, whether it's a local business owner, a teacher, an artist, or an athlete, it expands their sense of what's possible. These role models don't just provide inspiration. They offer practical advice, open doors, and sometimes a much-needed reality check. They show young people that the path to success is rarely straight, that setbacks are normal, and that persistence pays off. But the need for role models goes beyond individual achievement. Black youth also need to see examples of collective action, of people coming together to solve problems, to fight for justice, to build something new. The civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and countless local initiatives all show the power of collective action. They teach young people that change is possible not just through individual effort, but through solidarity and shared vision. The American dream is also about the freedom to imagine new possibilities. For Black youth, this means dreaming beyond the limitations imposed by society. It means envisioning a world where their talents are recognized, where their voices are heard, where their lives are valued. It means daring to ask, what if? What if schools were fully funded? What if every neighborhood was safe and vibrant? What if everyone had access to quality healthcare, to good jobs, to affordable housing? What if the systems that have held people back for generations were finally transformed? Imagination is a radical act. It's the first step toward change. Black youth are using their creativity to challenge the status quo, to propose new solutions, and to build new institutions. They are starting businesses that serve their communities, creating art that tells their stories, and developing technologies that solve real problems. They are not just dreaming, they are doing. But imagination alone is not enough. Turning dreams into reality requires resources, money, time, knowledge, and connections. Too often, Black youth have the ideas and the drive, but not the access to the capital or the networks that make big dreams possible. This is where policy and philanthropy come in. Investing in Black youth is not just the right thing to do, it's smart. It unleashes talent, drives innovation, and strengthens communities. There are organizations and initiatives across the country working to bridge these gaps. From youth entrepreneurship programs to college access initiatives, from arts collectives to tech incubators, there are people and institutions dedicated to supporting Black youth. These programs provide mentorship, funding, training, and a sense of belonging. They help young people turn their dreams into plans and their plans into action. But the work is ongoing. The American dream is not a destination. It's a journey. For Black youth, that journey is full of challenges, but also full of possibility. It's a journey that requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to keep going even when the path is unclear. It's a journey that is made easier by the support of community, the guidance of mentors, and the inspiration of those who have gone before. The question remains, is the American dream still alive for Black youth? The answer is yes, but it's a dream that must be fought for, protected, and reimagined every day. It's a dream that belongs to everyone, but it's not guaranteed to anyone. It's a dream that is as much about collective progress as it is about individual achievement. And it's a dream that in the hands of Black youth is being transformed into something new, something bold, inclusive, and full of hope.